Hey guys, this is a guide video on how to find your car batteries in Raid in case you guys are struggling to find them for your car repair task or even to put them towards your hideout module upgrades. Either way, I will be outlining the craft, the task rewards, and potential spawn locations during this video with timestamps down below. And there is going to be a couple of different ways that you can find them in Raid, including receiving them as a reward for completing the quest Gunsmith Part 4, Database Part 2, Spa Tour Part 4, and also no swiping. And sometimes you can even get lucky and then have a daily or a weekly task with a car battery as a reward. Now you can also craft your car batteries at your workbench level 2 in your hideout by using a pipe grip wrench and then also a military tank battery, and then the craft itself will take just under 3 hours to complete, and then that will produce you 5 found in Raid car batteries. But obviously a tank battery is not really an easy or cheap thing to get your hands on, especially at the beginning of a wipe. And sticking with your hideout, you do also have the ability to get your car batteries from your Scav case or also from your Cultist Circle. And if you are able to get a 6-hour timer, you do have that 25% chance to get items towards an active quest or a hideout module, or even the 14-hour ritual is the increased chance for high value loot. And just that you guys know, there is a Cultist Circle calculator online that I will link in the description, so I'm not going to go into too much more details about that specifically. Now, as for the potential finding car batteries in Raid from loot containers, they can spawn in duffel bags, on dead scavs, ground and buried barrel caches, and also in technical supply crates. And if there is an airdrop crate that happens to spawn in your Raid, and if you do get to loot it without being sniped from a bush 100 meters away, then a common supply and also a regular supply drop both can have the ability to drop barter items, so you could potentially get all the items required for this task from there. Or in my experience, there are a few maps that do have potential hard spawns for car batteries, with the two best options being Interchange and Shoreline. So for Interchange, your best chance at car battery in my experience will be in either Oli or the Goshan stores. So firstly, we will go over Goshan, and the best place to go is in the back right of the store, which will be all along the shelves to the right of this huge fire. And in this area, as mentioned, you will have a chance to find a car battery spawn along any of the shelves here, as well as the shelf at the end of the aisle with the wire rack at the bottom of it, just like the ones that they do have in the Oli store. And you will also have the back shelving area through the double doors over here next to this forklift. And people have apparently found car batteries back here in the past. However, I've never found one myself, but I just want to make sure to mention it just in case you guys do happen to go into this back storage area that you could potentially find one. And basically this whole back shelving section in general is probably the area that I've personally had the most luck overall to find car batteries for my task in the past. And I will post a few clips of me finding car batteries in this section, since a lot of people do always love to see proof that you can in fact find them. And then staying in the Goshan store, another area where I have not found one myself but have seen a Reddit post of it being possible, is all along the very back section of this store, all along these storage shelves. I know for a fact that these do have potential loose loot spawns that mostly include tools, but I have also seen green batteries and AA batteries, which are the same classification as car batteries, being energy elements. So it's definitely not a bad idea to walk in along this area and then check on all the shelves, because you might get lucky. And then the other store in Interchange is going to be Oli, and in here you can apparently find them along any of these shelves near the front cash registers and then throughout the middle of the stores. But the area that I have had the best luck finding them is actually at the very back of the store on the shelves with the wire rack at the bottom. And then if we do continue following along these racks all the way to the other side of the far left of Oli, in this back storage room, basically when you're on your way to go get camped at the Emercom extract, in any of these 4 racks at the end of these aisles, either on the shelves or in the wire racks, can have a potential car battery spawn. But because this room is highly trafficked, I do end up rarely finding batteries here, but it is always worth checking if you are passing through. And then moving on to Shoreline, this map has now become the best option in my opinion for car batteries, and that is solely because of the smugglers base. Throughout this entire area, you do have several locations that can spawn car batteries, so it is going to be a great area to check. And then you can always take the car extract, which is relatively close to get out. But just before the car extract, there is also going to be a few shacks that are almost like an extension of the smugglers base, and those do have loose loot that can include a car battery and also a few different toolboxes. So basically, if you do end up going here, getting a couple raids where you can go and freely loot this entire area, in my experience, the chances are pretty good that you will at least find one battery here. The next location that you can find the car batteries is at the weather station, and they will be on the ground around the satellites or in the little one-story building in the far corner. Just be aware that this is a potential goon spawn and also a highly trafficked PMC area. There is also the shelves in the storage rooms by the back entrances closest to the admin building in both the west and the east wings, and also the shelf that is closest to the entrance of the West Resort next to the hole in the wall. And once you do leave the health resort, if you plan to go to the tunnel extract, then another place that you can check before you extract is going to be across the barge on Scav Island inside the fisherman's dwelling shack. And inside of here on the left, then there is a Cultist Circle that I have found car batteries at in the past, and there is usually another spawn where it can be on the far right side. And just so you guys know, there is usually also a barrel cache on this island that you can also check. But just know that coming out here, you will have to decide if it is going to be worth the risk versus reward, since you will only have one way to return. And if people do see you run across here, then they will just camp you out. And then lastly, I have also found car batteries inside the chairman's house at the swamp area, which is going to be the green house that is the only one that doesn't look like it's about to fall down on itself. So usually if I am planning to extract at the Pat the Lighthouse, then I will run past the swamp to look inside this house before going to the extract just to check and see if it's here. Now I did also want to quickly mention that Woods does have a few fairly decent spawns for car batteries, with the first one being on the front seat of the car at the checkpoint area, where it can also spawn a violet keycard. And then further down the road inside of the enclosed building at the lumber mill, there is a potential spawn on the shelves in here for car batteries, and there is also the chance for a LEDX in here. And this wipe I have also found a car battery on the ground behind the plane crash as well, and there is also the chance of some good tech loot and valuable spawns here. Now another place to keep in mind on Woods is that you do also now have the train depot, which is accessed by using the BTR, and that is going to be a really good spot to check for potential car battery spawns, as well as other barter items that you may need for your hideout upgrades. And it is also a spot that is going to be rarely looted, just because of the fact that you do have to use the BTR to get there, and a lot of people are relatively nervous of using the BTR and oftentimes just don't go. And then on customs, I did want to mention that you have a potential spawn on the shelves inside of Warehouse 3, and then also on the table at the old gas station, and then at the Given Tree just beside the old gas station. And then besides this, the new industrial plant building, I have found them in a couple of different places throughout here, but on the shelves on the first floor is somewhere that I have seen them more than once. And then I have also seen them on the bottom shelves of Big Red underneath the director's office. And lastly, I wanted to mention an area that is on Lighthouse that is outside of the water treatment plant, because that place. But at the construction zone on the main road, this area is just going to be underneath Pride Rock, and then you can have multiple car battery spawns here on the trailers, the boxes, and also the crates. And as long as the game is rendering properly in your raid, if you do have a scope, then you don't even have to put yourself at risk by running across the street to check it. You can just scope in and see if there was any worthwhile spawns in your raid. So these are all the different spots that I do keep in mind when I am going about playing my own raids and searching for a car battery specifically. But as I am editing this video, I can already feel the comments coming about how people do find car batteries all the time in duffel bags or tech supply crates on Lighthouse streets and Reserve. And while I do agree that I do seem to find them more frequently in the loot pool on those maps, in this video I am trying to highlight the potential hard spawns, where the car battery can actually spawn as loose loot outside of those containers, just so that you guys can be aware and keep that in the back of your mind while you are in your raids working on other things as well. But for example, you can go and run Reserve and then bring in the PSP 1 and 2 and the PSV 1 and 2 keys, and then try and farm the tech supply crates in the cages here in the underground below the hermetic door and the K-train buildings, or you can just go and try to loot all the appropriate containers all over the streets of Tarkov map. And of course, with any item, you do always have the chance of finding them by killing player scavs, or also by playing your own scav, because you can spawn in with any item in the game when you do play your own scav character. So hopefully you guys found this guide useful and it does help you to complete this task. Thank you guys so much for checking out my video on this, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.